Welcome back to Rebirth Rereads. This is Detective Comics number 945. Here we have a wonderful cover by Alvaro Martinez and Ralph Fernandez with colors by Brad Anderson, where Stephanie Brown is accusing Batman of causing the death of everyone close to him. The cover by the variant cover by Raphael Albuquerque is very striking, but it doesn't have Steph on it. So obviously I went with this one. Also, very interestingly, the cover here, you can see it says After Jerry Bingham. That's because this is a redo of this cover by Jerry Bingham for Suicide Squad number 10, where Amanda Waller is accusing Batman of getting in her way. Now, interestingly, the reason I think they chose to do this, apart from the fact that it's an awesome image, is that Stephanie Brown makes a very important accusation about Batman and the team he formed, which is that Batman's trying to control a bunch of potential supervillains, sort of a Avengers Academy or Suicide Squad type of mission. This came to my mind a lot because I watched Suicide Squad Hell to Pay last night, and I've also been reading the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay sequel comics, which are pretty fun. So the idea that Batman might want to make his own Suicide Squad is an interesting one, and he actually did in the second arc of Tom King's Batman. Yeah, in let's see what it is. I Am Gotham, I Am Suicide, I Am Bane. So in I Am Suicide, he made his own Suicide Squad. So I think that the Suicide Squad is obviously an extremely compelling concept. The idea of criminals getting a chance at redemption by performing Black Ops missions for various entities. But all of the characters, except for Clayface on Batman's team, are ostensibly heroes. They're people who sacrificed a normal life so they could help other people, so they could prevent other people from losing things, losing their lives, losing their loved ones. So I think that's an essential difference that Stephanie can't see at this moment because she is too stricken by grief and the unfairness of Tim's death. Art. So obviously it's written by James Tynion IV. Art is by Al Barrionuevo and Carmen Carnero. Al Barrionuevo, I believe, is Brazilian, like a lot of the artists. Eddie Barros and Alvaro Martinez are both Brazilian as well, I believe. Carmen Carnero, I believe, is actually Spanish, though. I believe she lives in Spain. And both of these artists will come back and do various fill-in issues. Although, actually, I'm not sure about Barrionuevo. He might have just done the flashbacks in the earlier Rise of the Batman. But Carmen Carnero has 3 more issues that she will do, although with a different inker. And I think it's pretty clear that the inker makes a difference in the way her pencils look. The gist of this issue is that Batman wants all of the team to come in for a psych eval, especially once he finds out that Stephanie was visited by the first victim in in Dr. Tompkins' clinic last night. Stephanie is very angry and she refuses to cooperate, and Batman is not really helping himself because he's still grieving himself, and he's just really bad at talking to people. Some great moments like Jean-Paul Valley, who's volunteering. He's a good dude. He volunteers for the clinic for Leslie, and he pulls out his flaming sword and fights the Victim Syndicate. He is so enjoyable. I have to admit, I wasn't a huge fan of him in Nightfall. I think he's a very compelling character, but I didn't like him. But here, I think Tynion brings the awesome bombast, like, know that men call you defiler. Know that men call you betrayer. And so he's just got this incredible pomposity and intensity, but it's you can see the goodness in his heart, the gentleness that's combating the warlike and arrogance parts of Azrael. I think that's really compelling and attractive to me. And we also see Kate accuse Luke, or Batwing, of not taking things seriously. Luke's trying to be really friendly. He goofs off with Steph a bit. Steph shoots him down, making reference to his previous relationship with Barbara Gordon. They dated back in the New 52. So apparently that's still in continuity. Yeah, and as I said, the Victim Syndicate attacks the Leslie Tompkins hospital, and Batman pulls everyone except Spoiler. And Spoiler ends with our artistic highlight, which is by Carmen Carnero. It's a scene of Steph alone in the Belfry, and she has a simulation of Tim Drake in the mudroom. And it's very interesting. I actually think that is a good thing that Eddie Barrows does the next issue, because the fact that this is a simulation is a little unclear. This looks a little too perfect, and Barrows, either on purpose or not, managed to make him look really creepy and not real Tim, which I think is a real benefit to this. But Steph is clearly so lonely and grief-stricken right now that she is not... She'll take even a fake Tim right now, which is unhealthy. And I think that the book, for all that it wants us to be sympathetic to Steph, isn't trying to make us agree with her. And I think that's something that a lot of people either didn't see or didn't think was important. Whereas I think it's very important that Tynion presents Steph sympathetically, but not approvingly. Continuity notes, I've already mentioned the Suicide Squad. I think that Stephanie's accusation that Batman is trying to control future threats is very similar to what Barbara Gordon did in the old Birds of Prey, when she took Black Canary after a very low point. Black Canary had been kidnapped and assaulted, and she was really driftless and violent, and Batgirl took her and formed her into a really strong and terrifying force. She gave her a new motivation, a new relationship. And then she did the same thing with Huntress, but Huntress was a bit less willing to be manipulated, and Babs was definitely being very manipulative, and so that backfired. But thankfully, Babs apologized, and that relationship was eventually turned into a much more powerful one, and as is one of the best relationships in comics is the Birds of Prey. So, this issue, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. Good art, but I don't think it blends very well. Barrio Nuevo tends to have a very dreamlike and painted feeling, whereas Carnero has a very clean line. It fits well with the Martinez. So honestly, Barrio Nuevo fits much more with Eddie Barrows, and Carnero fits much more with Martinez. Even though they fit together reasonably well, I don't think it blends super well in this comic. And I don't see, other than scheduling, which I'm sure was a reason, I don't see why they did this split issue for the pencils. A lot of good stuff, but again, this whole arc feels a little disjointed. I'm not sure why. I didn't quite feel this way when I first read it, but this reread sort of makes it feel a bit more disjointed. So much is going on. The introduction of Luke, the conflict with Kate, Steph's thing, the Victim Syndicate, just all the stuff going on is all individually great, but I'm not sure it all fits together well. And that's fine. It's good. It's just not quite as strong as the first arc. So, 6 out of 10. That is our issue today. I will see you tomorrow.